It's raining, but we're still playing. And it's love 15 Rios attempting a drop shot into the wind, just got it a little short into the net. It's not yet the downpour of yesterday. It's, some people have put their umbrellas up. The hardier souls are sticking it out. Fifth double. Doesn't want to lose his concentration here and mean that if they do stop, Costa will be up a break. Arancha Sanchez Vicario has beaten the rain and beaten Serena Williams 6-3 in the final set. Great effort by the two-times champion.
Well, that's a terrific point because Costa really kept that slice low. Rios had to engineer something here. That's just about all he could do other than perhaps pushing it down the line, but that would have meant he was in a vulnerable position for the lob.
Well, he's refound his muscles.
Yes, that wasn't quite Rosewell's backhand down the line, but it was certainly reminiscent of Hamburg. It was a forehand, of course.
And Costa breaks. And once more, fortunes swing around.
Well, it seemed to come from nowhere, really, that drop shot by Rios and then the double fault, and now the racket being thrown, but the crowd are just looking for something to get into. He only lost 5 points in his serve in the second set. In the third set, I beg your pardon.
Well, the rain, if anything, I think has eased a fraction. More umbrellas have gone down than up. Wonderful point from Rios, but again Costa really had the chance to put him away.
As the drop shot just drifting somewhat towards Rios, played with the wind. That's always dangerous, and although it was a pretty good one, such a big point, Rios was going to give it his all. Again, no signs of any strained thighs there.
S'il vous plaît, merci.
Takes the ball early, uses the angle, 3 breakback points.
0-40.
A break of serve to love, and just when you thought Costa had got himself right back into it, he loses his serve. It's 2-1 in the fourth. And Rios by 2 sets to 1. Rios
15-0.
to open the fourth game of this fourth set. Well, that was probably his best backhand down the line of the match to set up the point. Here we are. Those are all the commentary booths.
15-1.
Interesting where that lob eventually dropped. It landed well inside the service block. And because it landed inside the service block, Costa knew what sort of weight to put on the next lob he tried. Engaged it beautifully.
Just this fine drizzle in the air, but look behind us to the southwest, which is where the weather is coming from. It's now beginning to lighten, so with a bit of luck, we may not get an interruption. Don't want an interruption. This one's bubbling along very nicely.
31.
Rios does his usual bit of genuflecting. That's quite common even early in a match.
Oh, he's missed it. Break point for a third successive break.
Terrific defending by Costa. It was Rios always up and at him. Good look at it, but you feel he should have known it was out. Ominous weight now behind the rear shots.
Avantage Rios.
Costa, I don't think, could afford to wait on his side of the court. He needs to just be taking a slightly earlier ball, which he can on the backhand particularly.
Well, framed the volley, but it worked.
Was that a sign from Rios that he wanted a bit more treatment?
He certainly went up to umpire Robert and chatted to him. He was rather drowned out by Albert Costa chatting to himself. Well, sadly now the rain really is beginning to fall. Lots of umbrellas going up now. There you can see the players are just undecided.
S'il vous plaît, un petit peu de silence. Le jeu continue. S'il vous plaît.
Bruno Reberck is looking in the direction of the supervisor and referee. Should we play? It's getting heavier and heavier. And now it's Costa, who mustn't lose his concentration, because the last thing he wants to do is come out 2-1 down and a breakdown. He's got to focus on every single point. Forget the weather. If we're playing, we're playing. Better. More pace.
15-30.
Well, it's one of the few times that kick serve of Costa's, which is so effective, has wrought much, really getting Rios, catching Rios by surprise. Well, I thought he'd waited initially in the rally, but then getting stuck into a few early forehands. He needs to do that to keep Rios at bay.
No. Take that, first serve, so what?
40.
I cannot understand this fatal fascination for drop shots of Costa. Cost him time and time again in this match.
Yes, it's out of character, really. It's terrific to have it, of course, in your arsenal, but if they're ineffective, you want to drop them.
Break point. Rios has won 3 successive games. 2 of them breaks a serve. And he's up a break now in the 4th set. Bill Norris is coming back out yet again. And 2-1 ahead, and he's serving with new balls. There's not much of a way to use new balls. 6 double faults. Yes, wonderful defense and the counter-attack decisive.
Yes, beautiful summing up and reading of the point by Costa.
0-30.
This was the most effective shot because it kept him in the point. Once he got here, he had so many options. But again, it's sound defense. Yet again, Rios doing the attacking.
3 break-back points to make it 4 breaks of serve in 6 games in this set.
S'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît.
He's missed it. Or has he?
Yeah, Costa's looked at it and nodded and looked to the ball boy for the ball. He's going to serve.
Oh! Well.
Whoops, don't touch him. Yeah, he might blow a gasket here.
That, I'm afraid, does not answer it. And what we should have is one of our line cams. That would. And we'd know. Oh, no, there's no point in booing Rios. It's not his fault. 15-40, second serve. Now, this is a huge point for Costa.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, because if he loses this, even though it's a big event, he may just throw in the towel mentally after that bit of embarrassment. Still just looking at the mark. That goes back a bit, but he's looked at the mark and thrashed his racket at it and looked at the umpire again.
That's got rid of all those frustrations. The rain is heavier again, but it's not heavy enough to make a decision easy. You can see it on the replays.
It's the main concern, really, is the restlessness in the crowd that it induces. The court can absorb this sort of moisture.
Fourth break point. Too good, and Costa does break. And it's 3-all in the fourth, and no one's going away despite the rain.
I must say I'm pretty relieved, because it would have been a shame, really, if it had faded away, this match. And in a way, you've almost, at least I feel, I've always got to side with Costa there. It may well have got a bit of the line, but took a lot out of him.
And all credit to him, having lost the love 40 situation to then still break. That took some real guts.
15.
He hasn't missed many of those, Rios. That's his best shot. And it really has been pretty venomous, as we saw on the previous point. Now he's got to watch out for the wide serve to the Rios two-handed backhand. He's been stepping in, as we've seen.
Rios has break point to move ahead again.
Well, one almost talks about Sampras as having the best forehand in the game. Rios recently showing that his more than matches the Americans.
Well, at last Costa found the backhand down the line, and didn't he need it, because he was pummeling away at the forehand and it was coming back with interest.
Yes, it was almost a shot of last resort, and Costa himself exclaiming as he had played it. In his desire to get away from that backhand.
Third double fault only, but what a crucial one.
S'il vous plaît. Merci.
No sign at all of limpness in Rios's movement.
Avantage Costa.
How do they know where to smash? Of course, what they're doing is that right out of the corner of the eye, watching the opposition.
It's brave defense, but it's not enough. Third break point.
Avantage Rios.
Yes, Rios taking the risks, hammering away, taking the ball a little earlier, much more prepared to come up, playing just the better all-round game.
He's missed it. Once again, the drop shot put him into trouble. And once again, Rios is ahead. 4-3 in the fourth. 5 breaks of serve in this set in 7 games. Rios is 2 games away from victory. They've started between Conchita Martinez and Eva Maioli, 2-2. Bruno Ribeur is wiping his brow. He's probably thinking, it was never like this when I started at the junior club down the road.
0-15.
7th double fault.
Well, it was a terrific return, snapped wrist return by Costa. Not a lot really that Rios could do with it. Nice balance as he pushed it down the line.
15-30.
Now the surprise serve volleying tactic has been used.
The big serve down the middle will do the job. Of 30-30 all. Not a good time to have your laces come undone.
No, and he waited for that ball to come to him too, really. He needed to be in there taking it earlier. It was uncomfortably high.
Oh, that's wild from Costa. And Rios moves to within 1 game of victory.
Rios mène par 5 jeux à 3. S'il vous plaît, les joueurs sont prêts.
The Chilean fans beginning to celebrate. 3-5.
15-0.
Oh, Costa's in the happiest position he's been in for some time on his serve. He lost the last 3.
But really, ever since the start of the second set, he's allowed Rios to dominate. He's allowed Rios to be the aggressor. And that's been his biggest problem. Wonderful touch. Match point for Rios. Well, the backhand down the line wasn't there today, and that was one of the reasons Costa lost. But the real reason, perhaps the decisive reason, was that Rios was the aggressor, and Rios takes a huge step towards reclaiming the world #1 spot. He needs to win just one more match now. but perhaps more significantly and more importantly towards winning a first Grand Slam title. He wins in 4 sets.
Yes, and I think Rios will recover. It seemed to me that there were strains there, all right, but I don't think they're ones that are going to hold him back in this event. Costa really lost his opportunity. A set and a breakup, remember, and it seemed to me that he had Rios, as very few people have been able to do for some time, but just relinquished his grip. And the determination, really, that Rios, a former #1, seems to have gained, not only determination, but also maturity, bringing him through.
The last set I played very bad. No, I was
mal joué le dernier set.
I don't know. Maybe I was a little tired also.
Peut-être un petit peu de fatigue. Merci beaucoup, Alberto Costa. On ne vous laisse pas plus longtemps. Marcelo, juste un petit moment. Sorry. Marcelo, just
Well,
one word.
Marcelo Rios
Marcelo, just one
saying
word.
that he's cramping.
One word for French television.
No, I'm afraid he's not going to get his one word, Nelson Montfort. Marcelo Rios moves on. He'll play another set. Great effort by the 2-times champion.
Well, that's a terrific point, because Costa really kept that slice low.
30.
Rios had to engineer something here. That's just about all he could do, other than perhaps pushing it down the line, but that would have meant he was in a vulnerable position for the lob.
Oh! Well, he's refound his muscles.
Yes, that wasn't quite Rosewell's backhand down the line, but it was certainly reminiscent of Hamburg. It was a forehand, of course.
And Costa breaks. And once more, fortunes swing around.
Well, it seemed to come from nowhere, really, that drop shot by Rios, and then the double fault, and now the racket being thrown, but the crowd are just looking for something to get into. He only lost 5 points in his serve in the second set. In the third set, I beg your pardon.
Well, the rain, if anything, I think has eased a fraction. More umbrellas have gone down than up. Wonderful point from Rios, but again Costa really had the chance to put him away.
As the drop shot just drifting somewhat towards Rios, played with the wind. That's always dangerous, and although it was a pretty good one, such a big point, Rios was going to give it his all. Again, no signs of any strained thighs there.
S'il vous plaît, merci.
Takes the ball early, uses the angle, 3 breakback points.
0-40.
A break of serve to love, and just when you thought Costa had got himself right back into it. He loses his serve. It's 2-1 in the fourth. And Rios by 2 sets to 1. Rios to open the fourth game of this fourth set. Well, that was probably his best backhand down the line of the match to set up the point. Here we are. Those are all the commentary booths.
Interesting where that lob eventually dropped. It landed well inside the service block.
It's raining, but we're still playing. And it's love 15, Rios attempting a drop shot into the wind, just got it a little short into the net. It's not yet the downpour of yesterday. It's, some people have put their umbrellas up, the hardier souls are sticking it out. Fifth double. Doesn't want to lose his concentration here and mean that if they do stop, Costa will be up a break. Laurentia Sanchez Vicario has beaten the rain and beaten Serena Williams 6-3 in the final.